P&R with Adam R. Welcome to 3P&R. I'm your host, Adam R. And with me again tonight, Don and Laynee from Spectrewaves. Don and Laynee, thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having us back.
Yes, Adam, thank you for having us back.
Always a pleasure. There is a guy in your area that was on the show. His name's David Olson. This guy has the modern day Echo 1 rolling around. He's a paranormal guy. I really want to connect you guys. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
If you go to the episode I did with him, you see the rig he has. Talk about an investment. I mean, modern day Ghostbusters, legit. So
wow.
I definitely need to connect, and you guys are in the same neck of the woods, so it makes sense to connect the two of you. I'm gonna make that happen.
He's on the south side over here.
I believe so. He's a police officer there too.
Oh my God, that is so awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a modern day version of the Ecto 1 driving around. Have you, Lance?
I have not. No.
I gotta tell you, man, if you see this thing, it's impressive.
See, we have our Spectrewaves van that we drive around. So on the side it says Spectrewaves Paranormal. It's a Dodge Ram.
Yeah, so I'm gonna connect you guys. You guys need to be connected. Awesome. It makes prime sense, right? Because it's
totally.
He's got toys for days, and then you know what I was telling him about you guys too. You know, so I definitely think that'd be a good connection.
And you said his name is David Olson.
David Olson. I'm gonna try and see if I can get it. I should have arranged that. That's my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
He's an interesting guy too, and he's definitely he's a police officer, not even former. He's a current police officer. You know, so he's trained to observe. And
now, is it just him in that investigates, or does he have a whole group?
Well, he works with a team, but he's independent. I think mostly because I don't think he has a network going just yet. He's fascinated. He's had experiences himself. He's fascinated by the subject, and he's. I mean, when I say invested, he's in there. You know, so
right.
Well, at least changing something over to Ecto 1, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you're that invested, you intend to find something. You're not going out there hoping. You have intentions, and so he's got intentions, and he's had experiences. And I was telling about you guys, like Don's like an investigator. Laynee's had the experiences, and don't worry about walking in dark places. Laynee's got you covered.
I got it. No problem whatsoever.
So, what do you guys got going on recently with any kind of investigations?
Well, this is that time of year, the lovely time of year where we really. We kind of finish up everything in October because as the weather starts to change in the northern part of the United States, it makes it that much more harder to go investigate. So this is the time that we usually spend going ahead and trying to get investigations going for next year.
Right, yeah, because Chicago weather will prevent you from doing anything outdoors.
Well, and with Iowa and with Michigan and Indiana, Wisconsin, especially it gets into a situation where it's kind of tough to go ahead and do those things when it's really cold out.
Right.
Because most of the places will have heat, but maybe in one room, and they'll have like a space heater in the room. And then beyond that, the rest of the structure has no heat. And we've done it a couple of times before. And believe me, you never want to do it again.
What was it? Edinburgh Manor?
Edinburgh Manor. Yeah. In Iowa. We went there in March and we thought, well, we're rolling the dice. They didn't have any openings later on in the year. And we figured, well, we got a 50-50 shot at this. March can be okay or March can be horrible. And we erred on the side of horrible. I mean, we were there in an ice storm.
Man.
The building is humongous. It's an old institution, and they have a hot room across the street that you can warm up in. But you do have to go through the ice storm to have gotten to the hot room.
I mean, the ice storm got so bad that you couldn't even get up. They had wooden steps to get up to this house that was the hot house, right? It got so bad that you couldn't even get up the steps. Is that it was just caked in ice. It was just ingratiated with just ice going up those stairs. So it's a little bit tough. We don't, usually October, into the beginning of November, we did get lucky one year, and we decided to go to Stimson Hospital in Michigan, which was really rolling the dice because it was in December. And it was December of 2019, and it was right before everything happened with the pandemic. So we got lucky that night. It actually ended up being about 55 degrees that night.
Did they have heat? I don't remember if they had heat.
I don't think we really needed it, though.
I think that's why, yeah.
Yeah, because it was
lucky.
like 55 degrees outside in the beginning of December. So, I mean, we got lucky with that. But I will say this, is that at the Stimson Hospital, that just brings up another point that I just want to make, is that we had an experience there that was an experience like we never had before, ever before. So we were in the first floor of the Stimson Hospital, and what ended up happening was we were doing a spirit box session. Laynee had the Connect on. We were in an area that was the former doctor's office, which they now made into a kitchenette. They've been trying for a long time to make this into like a bed and breakfast. So we were informed that area was the original Dr. Stimson's office. So we started to do a spirit box session. And in the spirit box session, we were asking questions, is the doctor here? Who's here with us? And it came up Stimson. And I mean, you can hear it on the spirit box, is that's not a yes or no answer. That's a direct, intelligent response.
But at the same time, it said that the room itself vibrated. It sounds crazy. The whole room was made out of concrete.
Listen.
The vibration that happened, I can't even explain. And at the same time, going down the stairs was a big white mist that we caught on camera.
Huh.
And all of this happened at the same time. And so, we didn't know at the time, like what, the building was from the 1860s, and they had been doing restoration to the building. And so in that area, that's the back half of the building on the first floor, where this kitchenette area is. And so naturally, when we got to talk to the owners, Chris and Pam, I asked Chris, I said, I know you guys have been doing renovations and stuff, and here's an odd thing that happened. While we were garnishing evidence, the whole building shook, like somebody in a pickup truck or a tow truck or a bulldozer hit the side of the building. That's how much it shook. And he looked at me wide-eyed, and he's like, that's impossible. He goes, you would have had to get not just a bulldozer, but a huge bulldozer to even make that kind of vibration in that house. He said all the walls in this house, all the outer walls are 10 inches thick of concrete. And then it's followed up by limestone. And he goes, there's no way. He said, even if you wanted to, you couldn't knock down one of these walls. And he said, let alone somebody slamming it. He said, if a car slammed into this building, he said, this is just my guess. He said, if a car backed up and hit the building, you would barely notice that the car hit the building. You might hear something. He said, but it certainly wouldn't shake the foundation of the building. And he goes, that's incredible. We've never heard anybody that happen to anybody. And we've had teams going through here for the past 2 years. So,
well, let alone, I don't think it was an earthquake or anything. They were a couple blocks down and they didn't say anything. I think we asked them.
Right.
They didn't feel nothing.
Yeah, a tremor like that would catch the attention of the entire community, right? That'd be on the news.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it basically, so it's kind of funny that you see the trailers for Ghostbusters Afterlife, which we haven't seen yet, but you see the trailer for it. And, one of the predominant things that they say in the trailer is, Paul Rudd says, we're in an area that has no fault lines, but shakes on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
That shaking was indicative of what happened in literally that 10-second span in that room with us.
I mean, what do you in your mind? What do you think that was?
I don't know. Is that we've never been privy to that. We've had, bumps and knocks and seen things happen. And here's the ironic thing. If anybody goes and checks out our video for the Stimson Hospital, you can actually hear, after the shaking happens, you can actually hear a whoosh. And if you watch the video closely enough, you put it on full screen, watch it closely enough, watch the doorway, is because after it shakes, and you can see our cameras shaking, is that it stops, you see an orb, and you hear whoosh in front of the camera, right?
Well, the orb is coming down the stairs. You can see it. It's not walking. It's just flying down the stairs, going towards the other way down the stairs. So it came up from the second floor, going down to the first floor.
You know,
you definitely hear a whoosh.
I'm glad you said that. I've been talking, I got to tell you, I'm finding so many parallels in ufology and paranormal. And the orbs, this isn't something that people are just seeing anymore. Now it's being captured not by regular film or digital cameras. They're starting to pick these up with FLIR. And that means it has a heat source, which means it's definitely, I can't say it's physical, but it exists. Like some of the images I'm seeing of this now, that's an undeniable thing as well. Just like the cameras picking up the UFOs by the military, that FLIR video convinced me that there's something more to this than some sort of, I can't speak to all of it. What I can speak to is that particular video, which I will share with you guys. I was impressed, and I know they're going to make I think they're going to make a documentary surrounding this gentleman's adventures into the supernatural. And you know, it's like I think I told you guys this planet's 4 billion years old, right? And
Right.
if we were to stop being around, if mankind stopped right now, we died off, all these buildings and monuments and stones and steel in 2 million years will be undetectable, right? It'll be absorbed to the planet. You know, other than bones, like, you know, the dinosaurs, well, they were a larger creature. Let's bear in mind, outside of things being captured in, you know, or fossilized in sediment, you don't have any real proof of what lived around that was smaller than the dinosaurs, right? So
Not
we don't
really, not unless it was encapsulated in
right.
amber.
Right. So we have no idea what was roaming around here at all. And when I say that is there could have been a humanoid group of people. There could have been human-like things around 1 billion years ago. And then, you know, the planet recycles. I've heard arguments that, well, you know, this changed, that changed. This planet's changing right now. The axis of this planet's changing right now. You ever notice that the weather patterns are becoming abnormal all over the place? Like, we're due for another ice age. And if you listen to Graham Hancock, it makes prime sense. That guy has sold me on what I consider, everything I thought about history for humanity, out the door. Graham Hancock has changed my mind on that significantly.
Well, I mean, weren't they predicting that the poles are going to shift?
Yeah. But
that's supposed to be coming up shortly.
Yeah, we're in that phase. Over the course of the next 50 years, it's going to start happening, because if you go by math and so far what we learned about the universe, it's pretty clockwise. And we know every 25 to 26,000 years, it shifts. And then if you look what Graham Hancock says, about 26,000 years ago and prior to that, there was definitely civilizations that are older than what we know, but the Ice Age came around and they didn't have probably the technology to defeat it, not like we do today. And even today, another Ice Age comes, you know, prime real estate is going to be the southern, like the things closer to the equator. Like where I live in Florida might just become prime real estate, because imagine it getting colder in other areas. So yeah, I don't know. When I think about what might have been here before, we don't know what energies. Again, spirits to me are energy, high, you know, the energy of the body, and some go to the next level and some don't. So we don't know what's lingering around here. And then when I hear about the orbs, circle back to that, they seem like they're the recon drones of the spirit world or the ufology. In both cases, it seems to be something similar. It's like they go in there, they're really benign. They go in there, they circle around, they're seeking something, they don't find what they want, gone. You know, I mean,
Right.
that's what it appears to be.
And especially when you see that and something else has happened where you get Stimson on the radio, on the spirit box come through, you get the building to shake, and then you get an orb. It's like, yeah, there's something going on here.
You know, and all corroboration. I mean, that's, you know, and you know, from talking to us in previous sessions, that's our goal all the time, is to corroborate everything that we get, because we need to be true to ourselves, right? I mean, you know, some people aren't necessarily that interested in it. They're interested in one experience. And don't really have much to stand on. They have a Ring doorbell camera of a Harry Potter guy walking down their driveway.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like if you hear the episode with Douglas Wilson, he's a director of investigations for MUFON, United States.
Mm-hmm.
He's very meticulous about his investigating and what instruments he used and protocol and so on. And when you get to these digital cameras, there's flaws, right? Because digital cameras, as what I've learned, it's trying to replicate what it's looking at. You're not actually getting a real video look at something. It's something putting what you're looking at in the pixels. And that's why when he investigates UFOs, he brings film-fed cameras.
Sure, which is one of the reasons, why from time to time, depending on the site and depending on the amount of time that we have, we actually still utilize old Polaroid pictures.
Right, and that makes sense because you're capturing. Have there been people in the past that used Polaroid to trick people? Yeah, but we could absolutely tell when it's happened, right? So it's not a mystery anymore. We figured that out. And Polaroid, so long as you have a good chain of custody, a group of people, other cameras filming you do it, you can't dispute that.
Right.
Hey, I just sent you guys an email. Did you get it with the pictures?
Let me bring it up here.
So I just communicated with Dave Olson. I'm bringing him on the show to meet you guys. I desperately want you guys to meet one another.
Okay.
Yeah, the images I sent you, it's like when you see this guy's rig. When I first looked at it, I was in disbelief. I'm like, oh my God, that's a few $100,000 of equipment just in the rig itself.
Is he?
It looks like an ambulance.
Right, that's exactly what it is. He got a used ambulance. I mean, talk about a dedication of investment.
Definitely.
Wow.
So that's why I knew I have to introduce you guys. You're in the same, state anyway, or city anyhow.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
That is awesome. Wow. I'm looking at the photos. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. We have not ran into each other. I don't know why.
I don't
you
think I've
need
even
to know
seen
each other. This is what I'm about. Look, I love connecting people. I love connecting. I'm building this network, not for just me. That's a selfish thing to say. And I'm not doing this for likes. When I see people that are like-minded, it makes prime sense to put them together. And you guys could collaborate. He would love to collaborate with someone. He's not out there to like be the hero. He really just wants the answers. And he's invested that way to get them, so.
Wow.
Oh, definitely. Where does our energy go once we pass away?
Right.
Does it linger on? Is it a different dimension? A parallel universe? What is it?
I've spoken to some afterlife people, good number of them on and off podcast. And here's the pattern I find so far. Definitely our bodies and energy. Definitely there's frequencies and vibrations. I get this across the board, even from medical doctors. So when I hear about your building shaking, imagine something that has harnessed its energy so well that it could produce that kind of vibration.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, then here's the other part. This is my personal theory from everything I've learned so far. I think Earth is a proving ground for us, and depending on how we behave here is what dimension we perhaps go to next, and/or you get recycled, reincarnated. Or I don't know, you didn't do good enough this time. You're gonna have to start over. Especially if you're a serial killer, you have to get recycled. Memory erased, et cetera, et cetera. Some of them don't. They just linger. Right? Some of this energy lingers. It avoids the whole process entirely. So I have this theory that this is a proving ground. And, even some of the people that get recycled and reincarnated, maybe they're such a good person that it's recognized by something in the universe that they must stay here to repeat their actions and keep helping humanity or whatever is going to be here anyhow. And if you look at the cosmic web, if there's any disbelief that everything's not connected, that eradicates that belief system. That cosmic web is legitimately connecting everything. And this is new science that we're discovering these things.
And just recently we have more and more equipment and technology to get more answers.
Oh yeah, we're leapfrogging in technology. I wish people would evolve the way technology did. All right, we wouldn't have any, we wouldn't be racist. We wouldn't have weird politicians at each other's. Listen, here's the scary part. Politicians all generally want the same thing. Some seated power. Some of them have good ideas or bad ideas. And the only thing that really separates them is whatever flag they're flying. Because at the end of the day, if you listen to a Republican or a Democrat, they sound identical to me. Maybe in small disagreements, but at the end of the day, the way they speak, it's the same thing, you know?
Well, and that's been that way for thousands of years. It's still a power structure, and it's been a power structure for a long time. Oh, look, Dave Olson is here.
Olson, yeah, his audio's connecting. He, we're still doing Roman stuff, man. We're still behaving like Rome. Get rid of these flags, banners, and these loyalties. And like, again, the reason I say this with the division, when you have ufology and you have paranormal, you got to break those walls down, right? Because there's so many parallels. Steve Murr, I'm going to have him on again. I want you guys to listen with him. He's got a strong point. He's a paranormal specialist, but he looks at everything that's, parallel to the normal, ufology included. And the parallels he finds, he's like, I could almost, in the beginning, and he started as a skeptic. He had no intention of no belief system. He didn't, it wasn't for him. It was years into the investigation as he learned more is when he came to understand that the parallels existed, and he almost cannot separate the difference between ufology and paranormal at some points. And later I'll make a point to that with you guys that it's another little thing I discovered in his podcast. Dave Olson, how are you doing, sir?
Good. How about you?
Good. This is Don and Laynee. They're in your neck of the woods. I showed them your Echo 2, and I'll let you guys talk ahead and introduce each other.
I'm Laynee. I'm with Spectrewaves.
I'm Don. I'm also with Spectrewaves. There's only two of us, Dave. We don't have a giant team, and we don't wear hoodies. So I just thought I'd put that out there for you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Dave Olson. My group is Chicago Paranormal Investigators, formed at about 2009. We also keep it somewhat of a small group, just a handful of people.
Ah, okay.
Now you're on the south side over here by us, huh?
No. I'm up north.
Oh, he's a north sider.
North
Yes.
sider. Oh, okay.
That's why we never saw Ecto 2.
Probably.
Adam was telling us, I'm like, God, I never saw it.
Yeah, we're on the in the southwest burbs.
Oh, okay.
We're
Very
down.
nice.
Yeah. So, but we go all over the place.
I think
Same here.
I think when warmer weather prevails and you guys hit out on the road, I think you guys should really hook up. I mean,
that'd be awesome.
I would love to meet you.
Us too.
I was telling Dave last time, like, Laynee will legit walk into a room that I particularly won't walk into. So,
well, I was telling Adam last time, the humans, living people, are more scarier.
Yeah, it's
course.
truth. It's absolute truth.
You don't know what you're going to deal with.
I agree.
Or right.
On a daily basis. No, absolutely. Is that you go to a gas station and people stalk you. Laynee has that happen to her all the time.
It's pretty sad too. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's like George Carlin said, right? He's like, that old expression, you got to look out for the quiet ones. And he's like, well, you're looking out for the quiet one. A loud one will kill you.
Right.
So you're right on that. I was led into the Oakland County Hospital for about 4 hours, but I had to do it alone. And I was more scared of running into like maybe a homeless or something, than I was afraid of coming across a ghost or, a spirit.
Yeah, I was hoping that we don't live that far away from Oak Forest Hospital, which turned into which was a TB ward, which turned into a county hospital for a short period of time, and now I don't know what they're doing there. There's National Guard vehicles all over the place there.
Oh wow!
Is that so? We drive past it from time to time. We don't live that far away from it. So, is it? I don't know what they're doing there. I knew people who used to work there when it was a hospital. So I have no idea what they're doing there. But more and more National Guard trucks are there, and big trailers, and I don't know what they're doing there. But they're not using it for a hospital any longer.
What was the name of it originally?
Oak Forest Hospital.
Oak Forest. Okay.
Yeah. So I assume, Dave, that you've been to our most famous thing in the neck of our woods, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
Yes. Yeah, I've been there about a handful of times.
So yeah, we don't live that far away from there.
Nice.
Fortunately, right, for us. So
yeah, it's I love that place. It's just it's it's a little distance from where I live, but but I do love going there.
It's very busy when you go there. There's always somebody there, and we're trying to investigate. And most of the time, we just end up talking. So
yeah, because people come up to us, what are you doing?
Right, exactly.
What does it look like we're doing? So, but we've only, yeah,
definitely,
yeah. That's the only thing is that you have to get papal dispensation, I think, from the county sheriff to be able to go there at night, and you got to pay money to have
permit. I think,
yeah, to a permit and it has to be approved and whatnot. But so we've never gone there at night, just because of the legal ramifications of it.
Right.
You don't want to get a bad reputation for that, but. We did garnish one of all the times that we've gone there, and we go there from time to time to test our equipment. If we've got a new piece of equipment or whatnot, because it's so close, we just run down there and try to do it right at dusk before they close the place, and go there and try to test some equipment. And the only time that we ever got anything, we were wrapping stuff up. We'd gotten a new camera, and we'd gotten this Vortex, which was a static electricity detector. And we went there, and we were rolling on a recorder, and it was getting late, so we were packing up. And so I decided to, because we weren't really garnishing anything, no millimeter activity, and there wasn't many people in there. Everybody had kind of left by that time. And so I asked a sarcastic question, and I said, does anybody want to come out and play? And of course, to our ears, I didn't hear anything. We packed up the equipment, we left. I came home, I downloaded the recording, and what do I hear? No.
Yeah, I had a couple of pretty cool experiences there. The one that sticks out the most, it was a summer night. I mean, not a summer day. I just got off of work. At the time, I was working out of the OEMC 911 center, and left work, headed out there, and I was supposed to meet Ursula and a few other people. But I got there early, and I remember it was like low 90s, and I was sweating like a dog. It was so hot. And I decided to set up a few pieces of equipment, a couple camcorders, and I did a mini EVP session. And then I was taking some full spectrum pictures. And I remember it's like someone clicked on air conditioning. I started shaking. I had the chills, and then something grabbed my ankle. It like cupped my ankle where I ended up jumping. And I'm like, was that you? Did I just feel you? I said, did you just grab my ankle? And I get a kind of a graspy, whispering voice saying, I did. But I'll never forget that. And that was pretty cool. And I was lucky enough to capture a short but full-bodied apparition there.
Really? In what part of the cemetery do you remember?
It was not far from the little gate, off the path coming through.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few investigators that were there already, and I was snapping just a bunch of photos. And I had my video cameras behind me, so I could compare the video to the photos. But I usually take anywhere from 8 to 10 in a row, so I could compare them. Mm-hmm. And one of the pictures, there's a little short. It seemed a darker figure. It wasn't. It didn't seem to be a Caucasian, and almost reminded me of like maybe a Native American or something. But it had his arms crossed. But it was short. But it was just standing there in one of the photos, and with its arms crossed.
Wow. Yeah. Is that? And this predates Laynee, but I had done a thing called the Map of Souls with some friends of mine from high school.
Okay.
And we put out a local area map that had small descriptions and locations of purported haunted places around Chicago, primarily the south side, south and west. So we had put this map out, and we had sold these maps at this ghost expo. Now they're called Paracons, but at the time in 1982, and I'm really dating myself, in 1982, they had these ghost expos. at the Oak Park Arms Hotel, which is now a retirement home. And so we bought a booth there, or rented a booth, and sold these maps. So when we were doing research for the maps back in 82, I had a Polaroid camera, which before you got on this podcast, we were just talking about. And so we went to Bachelor's Grove. We went to all these other, like Grime Sister Murder location. At the time, we had gone to the original, what was purported to be one of the original monks' castles. And I'll get into that in a second. But so I was taking pictures at Bachelor's Grove, and I took a series, like, I think it came, 10 to a pack for Polaroid. So I had 2 packs. So I took 20 pictures. Mm-hmm. And after they developed, I just kept putting them in a bag. And so when we got back to get one of the pictures, we were looking at, to have our graphic arts guy do a mock-up of like one of the gravestones, and we wanted to see, which one kind of looked good in the drawing and whatnot. So I'm going through these pictures, and what do I see? That giant tombstone where the one side is unfinished, the other side is finished, and it says baby, and everybody puts usually little dolls and stuff next to it.
Right. I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's the biggest one and the one that's still standing in that cemetery that has been knocked over or anything.
Is that for a kid?
Yeah, it just says baby. It doesn't say a name.
Oh, that's creepy.
And so then the tombstone itself is probably about, I'm going to say, like, what do you think, Lanes? Like 5 feet high or so, something like that.
Yeah, and it's close to the pond.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, yeah. Right. It's close to the pond.
On the hill to the pond.
Yeah. So that pond that's right behind there, Dave, is that it's right there. And so I was taking Polaroid pictures, and what did I get? I got a mist in one of the pictures. Now, this is before I really knew anything about anything, except for the fact that I knew a mist, right, means paranormal activity. And so I'm so mad at myself that I never saved that. I never kept that photo. And if I did, I really wish I would have. But yeah, I mean, so, that's really my couple of experiences at Bachelor's.
I captured a photo at Bachelor's Grove, and I never posted it because I just hung on to it. I just never sent it away or brought it to with some of the photos that I have. If I'm unsure or I just want to double check, I usually bring it to like my side job. I work security at a community college. I've been doing that for 27 years there. And I usually have their photography department look over a lot of the photos just to give me their best guess and, to go through everything to see if they could, debunk anything. But I show it to a lot of people that have no idea what they're looking at, and they all see some type of structure. And I'm wondering if I was lucky enough to capture one of these like phantom houses or structures.
All that we hear about all the time, and we have a specific story for that, don't we, Lanes?
We do. What was it? About a year, October 14th, I believe that was a date. We just moved into our home. We just bought a home. And we were that night driving by Bachelor's Grove. And I saw with my own eyes, like a farmhouse up here. And I'm like, Don, do you see that? And of course we were driving by. He's like, no, I didn't. I went ahead. I went home and I drew it out for Don, what I saw. And he's like, son of a gun. That is the same thing people say they see there.
Wow. Did you go back there in that same area, make sure that that it wasn't there, that it was, wasn't a house that you were just driving by?
No, it's and we're so familiar with the area because we drive past it all the time.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Anytime you have to go get to Cicero, from where we're at, is that you always have to go down Midlothian Turnpike to drive past it. So, no, she saw it in the woods. And when she drew it out for me, is that, just because from being from this area, is that building, the description of the building is basically like a farmhouse that has gables on it, a couple of gables, and people have reported seeing even curtains blowing through an open window of a gable.
Wow.
And so what she draws out now, she had no idea about this. We hadn't even talked about this because I thought it was just hyperbole legend, you know. And I had never known anybody who ever experienced that or saw it, or, you know, this was just a handed down kind of a thing. And for her to draw it out, and it looked, you know, is that it looked exactly like descriptions that I had heard about years ago. So that's why I was blown away by it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just shared an email with Don and Laynee. That image you had, David, of the apparition's head.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that was it. That's the one I'm thinking of, just the head and shoulders.
Yeah, what camera is that? That's a FLIR type.
No, that one's full spectrum. It's using UV and IR lighting.
Okay.
Like a paraspectrum. It was in pitch dark, and that was a room. It's so cool with that story. Earlier that day, we had a medium do a walkthrough, and it's an old. They were turning into like a kids' dance studio, but way back it was an old morgue and a funeral home, and I guess way back when you had to go in front of the cars to start them, you know, to crank them up,
right?
Whatever year that was. That was the year where supposedly a guy was hung himself there in that room where I caught that photo. I guess he owed a lot of money, and guys were coming to get him, and he ended his life before they got him. And so that's why I was in that room at the time. And I set up my flashlight, had a voice recorder, some EMF meters, and he would communicate only with me. And I basically had to be in that room alone and turning on and off my flashlight. And it matched everything to what the medium said hours before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Can I ask, Dave, where was this at?
Yeah, it was in Kewanee, Wisconsin. Not far, maybe a block or two from the haunted Karsten Inn. It used to be called the Kewanee Hotel, and then I think they changed the name back to the Karsten Inn. But I think it was sold again, so I'm not sure if it changed names. But in Kewanee, Wisconsin, that hotel is very haunted. It's and then the location was, I want to say, about a block and a half away from the hotel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Do they still offer paranormal investigations?
At the hotel, or are you talking about at the old funeral home?
At the old funeral home? No,
the mayor at the time, the mayor and his wife let us in. It was under construction at the time, but they contacted the key holder and which let us in there because there was complaints about activity down there.
Well, the structure is still there, yeah.
Yes,
and
as last time I was out there, that was maybe 4 years ago or so. It already at that time turned into I want to say like a dance studio or something like that for kids.
Yeah, I mean, so long as the structure, the energy's not going to leave. The energy doesn't give a shit what it is. And I'm a pretty aggressive guy. I'm going to get us in there.
So, do it, Adam. Yes.
I don't hear the word no very well. So,
so Dave, in our local area, if you've noticed this, because God knows we've noticed it, right? There's not a lot of places to investigate around here in Chicago.
No, you know what? It's well, there is, but it's getting the permission. Now, I've been very lucky. I want to say it's probably due to my career that I was able to get the trust of a lot of key holders, property owners, and I got into a lot of areas that I was never able to post because, the promise I made. Okay, let me in. I won't put it on social media or undisclosed location. But I've been very lucky enough to get to quite a few places that if it wasn't due to my job, I probably would have never had a chance to get in there.
And I think really what I mean by that, though, is that, is that like Ohio, for example.
Oh, yeah, I got
Ohio. There's so many sanctioned places that you can go and you can.
Correct.
That you can sign up for do a private investigation.
Correct.
You pay them a little bit of money and, you have full reign for 12 hours or an entire day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of places around here at all.
You'd think that people recognize what you're doing and they'd be more open to it. Like, yeah, come take a look. If nothing, let's say it's a business. I mean, I guess they could be a double-edged sword. Well, it could hurt the business or gain business. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that. I mean, here in Florida, you want to investigate, you'll be burnt out in 2 days. For whatever reason, everything seems to happen here. And it's anywhere from ufology, Bigfoot, to paranormal, to any number of things you could imagine happens in this state. And to me, still, the scariest thing here, gators, mosquitoes, snakes, so.
I would vote for mosquitoes down there. But yeah, I mean, so I just wanted to bounce that off you, Dave, is because.
No, you're 100% correct on that. It's a shame. I mean, I would love to. If I had money, I would love to buy some of these locations that are out here,
especially in Joliet.
Oh, the Joliet prison.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of houses in Joliet that one of them was up for sale for like 3 years. I still don't know if they sold it. I can't even remember. Do you remember the name of that?
God, it's
that one
a long time ago.
Yeah, but they had it up for sale, and
like $80,000 or something.
Yeah, but you had to sign on to all the bylaws of what the Historical Society wanted you to do to the house. Like you couldn't. So all you could do is redo things, especially on the outside. You had to check with them for anything that you did. If you wanted to put up a fence or you wanted to to basically change any kind of structural thing to make it better, is that they would have to approve it. And so that's why a lot of people just shied away from it. But I have an interesting thing, though, and I don't remember what they call the house. Why do I want to say it's called the Three House or something? I don't know why I say that, but that Frankfurt house in Frankfurt, Illinois, it's one of the oldest houses in Frankfurt, Illinois. It's been reported to be haunted for years and years and years and years. Just went on the
market.
On the market, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I think it was like 200,000 or something like that. But I just saw that it just got listed. Is that and of course they did like a little expose on it because it was around Halloween.
Okay.
But again, that's been a private residence for years and years, and so very few people have ever had the opportunity. But there's a story of a little girl who got killed in the front of the house, and they say that her spirit is there has been there for decades and decades, and they're not sure who it is, and so nobody really had the opportunity. The guy who owned the house was a skeptic who turned into a believer because of the things that have happened to him in that house.
That seems to be the pattern.
Interesting.
I mean, and by the way, David, you had a police officer from Kentucky, won't reveal his name. These are off podcast interviews. After hearing your episode, came on and said, there are some things I saw. I don't want to go on podcasts. I want to, maybe talk about it and, get because I know when I'm in these podcasts, I theorize a lot because I don't know anything, right? It's all theory and wild imagination. And his story was telling me, and it's not even a house or a structure. It's a bridge. And he said he was on his break one day, saw the road. He had a radar up, sitting there snacking on a sandwich. And he saw what he thought he saw, someone jump off the bridge. And he called it in. And he rushed over there, and this is some time ago. I think he was an officer back in the 80s or 90s. Damn it, I should have listened. I should have wrote that down. A while ago, anyhow. And rushed over there, called in, nobody, no person. And he went back there countless times, never saw it again until I think a few years later, where at a distance with binoculars. So he thought in his mind that it was looking at him, and he didn't want to see it, right? And so, but in binoculars, he saw it again. And he's convinced that, and there's no record of any suicide there, none. But for him to see it on the same side of the bridge, facing west, twice, he's convinced someone, committed suicide there some time ago, and perhaps the body consumed by animal life or whatever it may be. But there's a lot of people out there to see stuff, and because of the fear of ridicule, which again, imagine being afraid of ridicule for just speaking about something you saw. Who cares?
Well, how long ago was that, Adam? Because I will say this is that maybe internalized he would have been ridiculed, and I don't know how receptive some provinces are in the South, but I would say probably within the last I don't know, what do you think, Lane? It's probably in the last like 15 years, maybe.
I'd say, yeah.
I think there's been a major push for acceptance where you're not, and maybe it's due to, due to like Discovery Channel, History Channel.
Well, I'll tell you why.
And Medium.
I'll tell you why. This is not my own theory. It's some of my theory, but after speaking to this specialist, I now know why they're going to come clean with it. Technology is advancing. And soon it's not going to be a joke because we're going to start detecting with these sensors that we're coming out with, because we want to be able to detect things, facial recognition from a mile. They want to be able to detect the most minor things. And eventually these instruments are going to detect things that are unexplainable. And it's maybe once or twice they could excuse it. But when it's consistent at said point, you can't deny it. Right. And I said this for ufology. Why is the government coming clean more and more about what they're seeing, or what it is they don't know, et cetera? More and more private industries going to space, and those guys aren't sworn under any oath to not speak what they see. So it's coming to the point where technology is exceeding the government control, and I'm not going to just blame government. I get this guy's a cop back in that time. I could see the ridicule, but when you have technology saying otherwise, you can't deny it. It's not a joke anymore. And what's going to happen is, and I think the big thing is steering people away from hysteria. I get that.
I don't, what is that? I've always thought that there would be no reason. I think for maybe a small subset group of the populace, right? They might be hysterical,
right?
But I think there's so much acceptance out there. Like literally, in our newsletter at my job, they put it in, they do like a monthly spotlight kind of a thing. And they talk about, things that have happened, at the business through the course of the month. And they spotlight one employee, one different employee every month. And so they called me up and they said, listen, we want to spotlight you, tell us your hobbies, blah, 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 blah. So, and I put in there, Spectrewaves, Paranormal, and everybody was like, that's so cool. What's your YouTube channel?
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it should be, right?
Nobody was like, you're an idiot.
It's also Renaissance too, but they picked the paranormal.
Yeah, right. Because I told them, because Laynee and I always go to Renaissance fairs too. So we kind of double dip on things. It's got nothing to do with the paranormal, and it's got nothing to do with technology, right? So Laynee and I get to strap on swords, and we just go to a festival, enjoy ourselves, and don't have to check evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a Jedi, right? I'm a grown person. In my mind, I'm still a Jedi. In fact, if you look on my Facebook where it says religion, it says Jedi. On job applications, I write Jedi.
But I agree with you. A lot of people, I mean, my bosses, there's several police officers, firemen, even my side job with the teachers. Everyone has stories that, especially the location where I work. My side job was the old Dunning Grounds, where it had the Chicago State Hospital, the mental institution, and the Potter's Field. There's still thousands and thousands of bodies still around there, buried.
Yeah.
But it just, no matter what field, once they find out or, that I do this, they open up and start talking and telling me their experiences. And, it always seems like a lot of people have experiences when they were younger, the house I was in was haunted or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And I've noticed that. I mean, I don't get really anything but curiosity, and that's the one thing that I'm grateful for, that I don't look like I belong in a rubber room with with a white coat on.
Well, you gotta keep in mind, you're investigating and covering a subject that, I don't care who you are, it's in your mind. What happens when we're not here anymore? You're questioning your own mortality. So of course it's not even the appeal of it. For some people early on, it's the appeal, it's sexy. For other people that are nearing, later age, it's probably the curiosity above all. And, even cops now that I speak to, right, on and off podcasts, even Derek, I just had a conversation with Derek Israel. He's a homicide detective from Texas. Ufology, they're coming around to, because after the government's video release, how do you deny it now? You know, like there is no denying that. Professional, I mean, high-end pilots, fighter pilots, trained pilots, flying around in $20 and $30 million planes are observing this. They're not making this shit up, you know? And that goes to that parallel between ufology and the paranormal. Because if you hear Steve Murr say it, and I agree with him wholeheartedly, it's parallel to the normal. And the only pushback we get is because it's parallel to what we consider normal. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You have to, I have never witnessed anything, but I approach everything with no filters on, because if you approach anything with filters on, I mean anything, you're going to miss something. And that's not a healthy way to investigate anything at all.
It's not a healthy, and I'm going to tell you what, Adam, to that, it's not a healthy way to live either.
No, of course not. You're closed-minded.
Is that if you're open and receptive to a whole bunch of things, and sure, of course you can question things, you know, and you can do what we do and investigate those things, but we're still open to them. You know, I mean, if, you know, is that, but see, a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are still closed off.
Yeah.
And they have, you know, a strict set of beliefs, and that's what they believe, and that's the way it is, right? You know, but for us, right, you know.
Right. Well, what about that in the patch paper? We investigated the Forest Home Cemetery.
Yeah.
And they went ahead and put in the paper. Well, of course, a lot of people saw it, and we had some nasty comments, believe it or not. And you're like, why would you waste your time writing something so nasty? Just don't
about something so benign.
Right. Yeah. If it's not your thing, then just move on.
Yeah, right. Just read it and be like, you know, but you feel compelled that just an upbeat article that comes out around Halloween, that you feel compelled that, you know, you have to be dismissive on it. I mean, you know, listen, that's what this country's going through right now. It's what a lot of countries are going through, you know, is you've got this fringe right, this fringe left, you know, and that most of the rest of us are in the middle somewhere. Right. But listen, if that's all the time you have, man, I want his job.
Oh, right. Know? But then I looked at his stuff, and everything that he says negative, he's got like 2,000 things. Just that one individual. There was a couple other individuals.
He loves to be an editorial.
And they're pretty nasty to other people too. So you can tell they're just on the paper to say nasty things to people.
Who knows? You know what? I just got a thought. Maybe they paid the people in the paper to say nasty stuff to make it more controversial, right?
That could be right.
You never know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of things I see where I'm like, oh my God, there's no way. But then the minute I catch myself saying that, I'm like, well, I really got to let me look at this from a new perspective. And one of those things was a whole, what do you call it, matrix that we're living in, right? That we're in this matrix. And I hear a lot of people talk about it. And I'm like, that's not, you bleed, you have a heartbeat, and, you know, I'm biological. But then I thought about this. If it's a really advanced computer, how would I know the difference? So
you wouldn't.
Yeah. So instead of me saying nay, I had to examine it. And this is my new rabbit hole I'm in currently. I'm going to find some people to speak on that with. But before I do, I'm going to learn as much as possible, and then I'll get into it, because I can't naysay until I know absolutely. You know, if you told me 3 months ago that people have a vibration and we have an energy inside ourselves and our consciousness was actually our soul, I would say you're nuts. But then I'd spoken to Roberta Grimes, she's an afterlife expert. And after speaking to her and reading more of her material, I'm a little bit I'm on the other side of the fence now, because she might be right. It makes sense. And then you think about how powerful the brain is, what vibrations are. And if you really want proof that there's vibrations and you could pick up on them and put them out, get a sinus infection, hear any noise, and then tell me vibrations don't exist, you know?
Well, I mean, and you know, Laynee can speak to some of this, is because, you know, she's been spending a lot of time over the course of the past couple of years looking at stuff from Tesla and radionics.
Definitely. Very fascinating too, just how powerful the brain is, and just having a good attitude. It goes back to when I was dying in the hospital with leukemia, and just keeping that mindset, saying, you know what, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to stay positive. Even after getting my last rites, just
Yeah.
being so positive. And I'm here today, and sure enough, it did work. And just keeping that mindset. I mean, what Tesla came up with and all this radionics that I'm researching, it is so fascinating.
I got to read about that too now. See what you did,
You
Laynee?
do. Really?
Dave, I have a question for you real fast. Is that so have you been able to get into Joliet prison?
Yes.
You going to take us with next time? Because I'm not paying $1,500 to get in there.
No, you know what?
Listen,
I got to go
both
there.
you guys.
I was asked before they had the professional tours, tour guides go through there.
Right.
I was asked to help out one night, a couple of teammates and myself. I think I don't know if Ursula Biensky was in charge of it at the time, but I can't remember. But yeah, I never got to go into any jail cells at that time. The grounds, and there was I want to say a gym, if I remember right, and a few other structures, but not the main.
Not the main prison itself?
No, I think it was in bad shape at the time.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, guys. I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to target summer, because I'm going to be doing a documentary hopefully by summer. I am an unusually aggressive person, you know, and I don't care who I have to call, and I'll act like a 10-year-old. Why? I'm one of those. I don't stop. So give me the information at a prison, because I would love to get all you guys together. You guys, I think the network, David and Dawn and Laynee, I think you guys started a network. I think the sky's the limit when it comes to paranormal, period. I for one, I was just watching the Fowler Theater with Dawn and Laynee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The approach you guys have, remarkable. You got David, who's got the Echo 2 times 5, right?
Right.
And he's got the bonus of being law enforcement, and he has that's form of credibility. And then
I got, I won't say every piece, but
you got every piece,
thousands of dollars invested in the
I was telling him,
I got,
right.
I think I got all that covered.
And we do too. I mean, we've been doing this, every year after year since 2013. We had to take a slight hiatus when Laynee got sick. But
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad you pulled through, and it seems like you're doing well.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad to hear that.
Been in remission now for 7 years.
God bless you.
Yeah, congrats.
Yes. Just being so positive and staying healthy and performing yoga really helps. And of course, investigating the paranormal helps too.
Yeah,
helps to look forward to something.
Yeah,
right?
And having that strong mind. She's got a strong mind. Look, I tell people often, I hear a lot of people like, I don't meditate. Sure you do. Think of one thing you set your mind to that you want to do, and you didn't realize it, but you meditated. You're focusing. That's what meditation is. It's focus. So Laynee focused herself to get better. She did. If you see, like, again, David, when you get the opportunity, if I didn't already share the link, we just watch their YouTube channel. I mean, they're.
Oh yeah. I after we spoke, I checked a few things out.
Yeah, because I was telling him about you guys last time. The minute, again, I recognize pairing, just like on the ufology. I got Mike Penicello and Dan Spell working together now. I had them coming on again. There's some people that I don't do it all the time, but when I know someone belongs together, that my job is to make them come together. And if you guys need help getting into some places, I'll harass someone to the point, like it starts with the jail, then it goes to the next person up the ladder. Before you know it, I'm sending email to the governor, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to camp outside the office. I'm one of those. I got it. I hate no. I dislike it. So I think you guys would make a great team, personally.
No, thank you.
Well, thanks, and we'll keep in touch with you, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's the same here. I would love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we call it, Dave, tell them about your experience from childhood. I want to, because Laynee's had experiences too, and that's another thing you guys share in common.
Yeah, it's all started when I was young, and I ignored it for the longest time. But to be honest, if I'm true to myself, I think I'm a little bit on the sensitive side. Not like a psychic medium, but as a child, it always felt like I could feel it when something's around. I could hear it. A lot of times I remember as a kid waking up my mom and saying, "Mom, come in the room." I hear muffled conversations, and I don't know what they're saying. And as I got older, I would still have the same experiences. And then once I became the police, I got more skeptical but I was still having experiences. And then when some of these shows started, I'm like, in 2008, I started buying equipment and I started to document it. And, on some of the investigations, even if we have psychic mediums there, I'm like, did you hear that? That was a male or female or sound like a child? And, some of the other investigators don't hear it, but the psychic medium does. And then plus I have it on the recorder or the camcorder picked it up. So I know I'm not going nuts. I have something. I just don't know what it is.
Right.
But that's what basically opened my eyes to it. But I was still, as I get older, became skeptical. You're told all your life, oh, that's not true. And, there's no such thing as ghosts. But I knew something was going on, but I just I'm the type that has to totally experience it for myself to really start believing.
And we, and just as a backstory, how we got into it, like I was into it, just really, because it was interesting and, back in the 80s and stuff, but I never really did anything about it. Never really went on investigations or anything. Went to Resurrection Cemetery a few times, and went to Bachelor's Grove a couple of times and a couple other smaller cemeteries, but never really investigated anything. And when the shows came out, when Ghost Hunters and stuff, we've talked to Adam about this before, but when they came out, Laynee and I had gotten together in 2006, and I told her, I said, we were talking about one of the shows, and I read somewhere online that one of the assistant producers said, we have to fake stuff like closing doors, walking, and this was on Ghost Hunters. And so I told Laynee, I said, wouldn't it be interesting if we found a couple of locations, we bought at least minimal equipment, infrared camera, you get a digital recorder, get a spirit box, and let's just go. Let's just try to find some places to go and see if we can't, see if it is bullshit, basically. And we went, and the first time we went, what did we get, right?
What was the name? It was Tom?
Thomas.
And that was at Al Capone's warehouse in Chicago.
Yeah, it's over on Ashland.
We got that off the
Clybourne.
SB11 spirit box.
Yeah, we had an SB11 spirit box, and I still love those. I still use them all the time. And
they just came out with a newer one. Supposedly, it's a lot cleaner the way it sweeps.
Yeah, it actually has a a sound deadener, so you don't hear. You can actually adjust it, but
I got it about a month and a half ago.
How is it?
It's all right. I've used it a couple times already.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a little better. Maybe I just gotta learn to use it a little bit better. You could there's buttons on the back of it where you could filter some of the
that you can
noise,
increase the filter, right? Yeah.
Right. I had good results. You know what? Where I used it, and not to change the subject. Have you ever been around the plane crash site 191?
No. We know Dale, and he goes there all the time.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough. I got to watch what I say so I don't get in trouble. But I tested that out on Halloween, the new one. And
oh, did you?
Yeah, I got some incredible stuff. I just don't want to get anyone in trouble. But on Halloween, I first time out of all the other times, I was trying to communicate with Captain Lux for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like he finally came through. And I got something, if you always wondered if there was a next step.
Right.
He told me, and I got it recorded, that he goes, I crossed. So I'm thinking all the other times, that's why he never communicated, but it seemed like he came back. He probably got sick of hearing me, calling him by name and said, Dave, I crossed, leave me alone. But, and the reason I think it's him, because, I'm talking like you and I don't provoke, especially with that tragedy there. But, there's a lot of spirits still wandering there, and it's confirmed by policemen on the grounds there. You got the training center there, the canine training center, and a lot of them have experience, especially overnight. So
is that trailer park still there, Dave?
Yeah, you got the crash site, which is all under construction. By spring, it's going to be a roadway off of 90, maybe an exit. I think it's another way they're going to be able to get to the airport.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know if it's going to go all the way through into the airport or if it's going to be let you out on Mount Prospect Road right there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's where the plane went down. It's all under construction. So to me, it's like digging up a cemetery. The final resting place.
Right.
But
right.
we kept on getting. If I'm saying, how many spirits are still here, how many didn't move on, 30 keeps on coming up. And there's 30 out of the 273 victims, 30 of them were never identified. So
wow.
It seems like these 30 are still wandering. And, this is very touching. This means a lot to me. But I had a female come through, and she's one of the 30 that never got identified. And at the time, we had the list of all the names. We had pictures of some of the people that people posted in the past of their, mom or dad or the children that were on the plane. So we're going through the list, and we're saying, if anyone's here, is this you? If so, come through with your name and this and that. But we didn't get to this one female yet, and like I said, she was never identified. And as clear as day, I'm almost positive she's given me her seat assignment, her first initial and last name. And that there is a 9G on that plane seat. She's coming through 9G, A. Harrison, female voice. And that 99% sure that's Anna Harrison.
Wow.
To that point, I'm glad you say that. A lot of the afterlife people I speak to, when it comes time to passing, typically, because, time and space does not behave the same way from what I understand in that dimension. So a lot of them have family there preparated, and I guess you're right. If they're identified, it makes it easier. But a lot of energy stays behind, according to what I've learned.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, and the reason they stay behind is because it's an instant death. There's no, like, when you're dying on a deathbed, your relatives on the other side are there to greet you. They know, they're aware of it. They're going to make you comfortable. But when you're dead, there's a lot of souls like, what the hell just happened? Where am I? And they're lost. They're between these two realms, and they have no clue what took place. And they're not willing to accept or maybe they're just, they're blind to what happened. And then there's this select few that they're identified, and like you said, if you call them out enough, people will know. Maybe there's a lot of relatives that are saying, goodbyes, and that soul moves on. It's been recognized as it's passed.
Since the first time I got, not to interrupt, but since Anna Harrison came through, well, I can never say 100% sure. I'm pretty positive it's her.
Right.
And I'm trying to go through the motions and get the seat assignments, the manifest. I'm just
not a proof tough.
Yeah. That would be so awesome to be able to prove that, that was her coming through saying, hey, I was sitting here. This is how you could identify me. But anyway, after she came through, I can't get her to come back. And this was several months now. And I'm wondering if this is all she needed to do to move on, just to say what she had to say. Hey, this was me. She's not coming through.
Peace
anymore.
of mind, closure. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, could definitely be.
You also got to be careful too, because I speak to a lot of these specialists in the paranormal research, and when you're out there looking for spirits and you're calling by name, bear in mind. So here, put this in your head real quick. For me, we'll use me as an example. I pass away. I'm not ready to be passed away, and where I am in this realm, no one else could see me.
I know where you're going with this.
One guy's like, yo, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this guy's looking for someone, and I got a friend now. And I don't care what name I got to say, because I can communicate. And, same be said for benign or a not so benign spirit. Like, well, now I got someone to mess with.
Right.
Look, to my family, I apologize in advance. I'm that guy. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to bother you. That's just the nature of me. I like it too much here. So.
It's true. I don't know if you ever experienced it, but there's been at least a handful of times where I brought something home, and like I said, until I experienced it myself, at the very beginning, I'm like, oh, that's nonsense. They're full of, excuse the expression, full of crap.
Right.
But now, now I know it's true because it happened to me, happened to other team members. So it got me a little more on the religious side. I mean, I'm still not a churchgoer every Sunday, but now I do say protection prayers, and with the psychic mediums that I deal with, they coached us how to protect ourselves, with sage, Palo Santo, and all the other stuff.
I was just going to ask you that, Dave, is because we sage
and definitely crystals too.
Yeah,
Yes.
we wear a bunch of crystals, blessed metals on us. We've been fortunate enough that we haven't had an attachment or nothing that we could have really identify, right, Lance?
Not that I know of, no, but I'm sure we've been pretty close. And if it is, we definitely have saged and try to get a really good mindset.
Right. I usually, after every investigation, we'll sage ourselves. I'll sage the ambulance. We'll sage your personal cars. We'll put it over all the gear. And we seem to be fine. Sometimes when it's, 4 or 5 in the morning and you're so tired and then maybe you got a 4-hour drive home.
Right.
Sometimes we'll get lazy and I want to just go home and we'll do it later, and then we never do it. And then now one of us
the
has a
sage is
problem.
all the way in the back on the bottom of all the equipment.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you why I can get behind that. A lot of people ask me that question, like, "Wow, what did he do to actually protect themselves?" Right? Here's why I get behind the crystals and sage. Makes sense. Natural to the earth. Been here since the earth. It's here on earth, not created. Right? Man did not create. It's here. So there are natural, just like there's natural elements on this planet to heal yourself. Just like there's natural ones to improve eyesight. There's all sorts of vitamins and minerals natural here to do these things. Why not something to protect? Why not something to investigate? One person asked me, he goes, well, what good is prayer? And I was like, why? Because I heard in one of your episodes, you say that some things could be here from billions of years ago. There was no religion billions of years ago. I'm like, how do you know that? And but he had a good point. And why sage and crystals, I think, would work. It's natural here, and it has natural properties. It's for the most part proven. So I could get behind.
I think you got to have at least some faith.
Of course,
in something, yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can't. Is that and Dave, just like us. I mean, we've touched the ethereal plane plenty of times. I mean, you don't garnish experiences that Dave has had and that we have had. Without touching that ethereal plane, right? So, and that, just, means that there's something more than you, whether it's just straight energy, whether it's right, Lance.
I agree with you. Yeah. Well, at the Pollock Hospital.
Oh, you went there? I've been there before.
Yeah. It was a little dark, wasn't it, at Pollock Hospital?
And ironically, we were in what was the X-ray room. They made it into the doll room because they have that thing. Yep. So, Lainey, say what happened.
Well, I was going to talk about the picture that we got with the crystals that showed up, the chakra crystals, and that was the first time I brought the crystals with me and had it in the pocket. And I asked the woman to take a picture of me and Don for the website. And she did. And sure enough, you can see chakras, the crystals appear in the photo.
Wow.
So the chakra colors.
Yes. All the colors, pretty much like a rainbow.
Like a prism, but that's really what the chakra colors are.
And right over the pocket where the crystals were in. So I'm still trying to debunk it. I really can't. Some people said maybe because it was raining, but I don't think
but we were right outside that one, that door that you go in, Dave, that you walk in.
Uh-huh.
We were right there on that porch, on that little porch thing, taking pictures.
And just the way it appears in the photo, it's just really odd.
And so
we got activity in that basement. Actually, I got disembodied screams when no one was in there down in the lower area. Well, that's what a voice recorder is picked it up. The ones upstairs, upper level of them pick it up, so it had to come from downstairs. But disembodied, if I recall, was female screams, screaming. I think we caught it 3 times when no one was around.
Yeah, in the doll room, we caught somebody because I believe it was a TB, tuberculosis. What
Tuberculosis.
Was it? Yeah,
Yes.
hospital, if I can say that. Anyway, we reviewed the evidence later on, and there's a woman who was trying to take a deep breath, like, and we have it on camera.
That just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah,
So that's exactly what it was. So think about a raspy gasp for breath, right?
Right.
And when you're in, and that was supposed to be the area of, what was it?
when they were just about to pass?
No, that was, they took them to, it was the x-ray area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
And
the
so-
doll room was the X-ray, and then there was like a room with right next to to the doll room. There was a bunch of like school desks or something. I remember.
Yeah.
We did an EVP and Ghost Box session in there, and we got I had. Oh, it's coming back to me now. We did a Ghost Box session in there, and then in the doll room, but in that room right next to the doll room, we got 4 times, maybe even 5 times, a voice coming through, because I said, "What is this place called?" And it said Polish, in different voices, like 4 or 5 different times.
Oh,
And
wow.
we got some really good responses, from that room
Yeah,
via the
that-
Ghost Box.
That same room, I got a couple of Connect figures too that appeared on the desk. It looked like it was dancing, then it was doing something with the drawer. So that room was very active.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But there's
Is
a
that-
lot of darkness. I don't know. My personality was kind of changing a little bit there. I had to walk out a couple of times. I don't know what it was, but
Have you ever got attacked, if you don't mind me asking?
no, never got attacked. But
Yeah,
I kind
I-
of felt something, and I'm like, okay, I got to step back on this.
But she has been touched, though,
Oh yeah, but not like attacked, like really
like scratched
nasty
or anything.
Yeah,
But
right?
yeah, I've gotten touched many times just recently at the Oak Forest, not
No, Forest
Forest
Homestead.
Home. I can get it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forest Home Cemetery. I got touched on
Did
the
it leave
head.
welts? I'm thinking a lot of times where I'll get touched, I'll feel that energy. Like if you get zapped, if you touch an outlet or the wall or something,
Right.
like that
Right.
charge. A lot of times I get touched, I get that, and I'm like, and then I'll leave a small welt or mark on me, like a burn mark.
You know,
Oh,
But
wow.
I don't think they're trying to hurt me. I think it's just their touch, and
Right.
it's because of that energy leaving a mark. But there's been times, and like I said, I didn't even know that was possible. But there was, honest to God, times where I got attacked, where something wanted to do me harm.
you got to understand, if it is what is, I've been researching, it's intense energy, right? High volume energy. They have to manipulate great energy to have contact. So even if it's a benign little tap on the shoulder, it's not going to be pleasant,
And they
right.
always leave me red marks.
Yeah, and
or
imagine if
welts.
it's an overly affectionate apparition. If it's
Well, so we've been fortunate, and they love Laynee's hair for some reason.
Well, yeah. What was it? Crown Point Jail in Indiana.
I love
We
that
used-
place.
I do.
Oh,
too.
you know Sandy?
Is just
Yeah,
awesome.
Sandy. Yeah, I was actually supposed to. After I went there, I got called from Mancow, and I was supposed. I had to set up for him, but I had to give it up because my wife went out of the country for work. My daughter was like 2 years old at the time, so my wife was gone for like at least a week to 10 days. So, but he called me up and he wanted me to. He wanted to be involved in an investigation of mine and put it on air. And so I had to set up with Crown Point. And, the day he needed to do it, I couldn't because my wife was out of the country for work. So I gave it this, I gave him the location, gave him Sandy's information, and I think they had someone from Indiana do it, which ended up being they told me later, ended up being kind of a joke, not serious.
Oh,
but,
well, I'm glad you didn't get
Wow.
involved in that then.
yeah. I don't know if it was Mancow's doing. I think it was the other guy, whoever from Indiana,
They didn't take it
whatever
serious.
you're right. But I got some outstanding evidence there.
We have too, and probably one of the highest activity things that we have ever gotten within a minute.
Well, when I got touched on the head, the same time the millimeter went off, and then the REM pod went off at the exact same time. What it felt like, if you take a balloon and you rub it against yourself,
Yes.
that static electricity that you feel,
Right.
that's what it felt like.
On her head. And so I was almost putting the camera away. We were in the second floor rec area when it happened. And so I immediately grabbed the camera. It was still running, and I flipped it around, and I caught the very end of her hair raising up.
I mean, you can see it on video. It raising up.
Yeah,
and
it's raising up.
We pointed out, and amazing. It is just so cool.
But the highest activity that we ever got there, we were on the 3rd floor in the juvie area, and so we were wrapping up the investigation. And we like to take pictures, not just of the environment, but of us in the environment. And so I was taking pictures, and I kept getting white streaks going across. I was just using my phone, and white streaks going across my phone. And I kept telling Laynee, I said, I'm getting these white streaks that keep going every time I take a picture of you that's coming across this phone. All of a sudden, we hear, now you know Sandy, right? Sandy is not running up 3 flights of stairs.
No.
Okay. Right. Okay. So that's no slight on you, Sandy. I just thought I'd say that. Is that
she's great. I love her.
She is.
She's awesome.
Is that so? So we're there, and you hear on the metal stairs, boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now, fortunately, I had the camera running, and the spirit box was still going. So we hear boom, boom, boom. Then we hear a growl. The spirit box goes off and goes, what? And then to the far end of the back wall, you hear bang. And I mean, all within literally like 40 seconds. But fortunately, we got it on video. But I have to say is that for an intense situation in an environment, right, where everything happened that quickly, that's happened so very few times to us.
And that was the second time we were back there.
Right.
The first time was when I got touched, and the second time was when all that activity happened at once. We were supposed to go back a third time. It just didn't work out. But
I loaded that place up with a bunch of night vision DVR cameras, and I had the ambulance there. I put it on almost got stuck in the grass.
Yeah, refer to that as Echo 2.
Echo 2, excuse me. Or usually I say Command Center, or we call her Misty.
I like anyway, Echo 2.
Yeah.
Don't let Adam near that ambulance, man. He'll be spray painting that goddamn thing, like,
you know who
white and stuff. And
fact,
Grant Wilson has been in the ambulance before. Wow. Dave Schrader.
Oh yeah, wow. From Holzer Files. Yeah,
and then Jeff Blanger, I think his name is.
Oh, Ballinger.
Oh, Ballinger, yes.
Yeah,
he's been in the ambulance before, and then. Dave, was it Kirk the haunted collector guy?
What the hell is his name?
Not the older guy that is part of.
His son.
The younger guy. It's him and his, I don't know, wife or fiance. They're two younger guys. They have the mobile haunted museum or something. He's been on a few shows before, like Kindred Spirits and I'm
telling you now,
even Ghost Adventures.
Someone's going to see that they're going to see Echo 2. You better TM that, because I promise you it's going to be on TV before you know it.
My angle, and I thought at the time I was under contract with a production company, and I was hoping I was hoping to be the first one that I have the ambulance out there on a show, and then that show came out with the Haunted Town.
Yeah,
it had
with Nick Groff and Elizabeth Saint, and I can't remember that third guy who had the ambulance.
The guy had the black ambulance there. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, there goes my angle.
But that's a show, and what you guys have right now is real. So that's the difference, you know.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
a lot of hard work and a lot of sweat and time dedicated.
I'd say, man, when I first saw that, I was like, wow, anyone that invested has every intention of finding something, you know? I mean, that's
I was telling Adam earlier, all we have, Don drives a van that says Spectrewaves Paranormal. It's a little command center inside there. It's like a work van. But it's pretty rigged up with some of our equipment.
Nice.
But yeah, you definitely got us beat, though.
Well, no, you know why I did that? I had something like that on the police department. We had a...
Oh, when you had a command center, right? When you did the mobile command center,
we had a black ambulance that was converted. It had almost like a news van. It had a camera that would raise on top, and then a lot of times when the protesting, not recent, but before all this other stuff started, actually when Ghost Adventures came to Chicago and filmed at Bachelor's Grove, and all that protesting going on downtown. Yeah, we had the black ambulance then, and so we would put cameras on rooftops, and it would beam to the ambulance, and so we could watch the crowd and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that would be so cool, to have one of these, because back then I had a six, what is it?
What was the Echo One?
Enclosed trailer. I forget the size of it. It was a good size, but it added like 2 or 3 hours to set up, because I would have to bring folding tables, monitors, and hook up. With the ambulance, you got steady power.
That's a good point.
It worked out nice.
You probably don't need a CDL license to drive it either, I'm sure, right?
I do have one, but no, it's
okay.
just you need. I have one where anything with air brakes and stuff. I can't do a semi truck, but I could do and like a flat truck with air brakes.
Okay. Yeah.
Like the big cherry pickers, streets and sand uses, like bucket trucks and stuff like that. Yeah, I could drive. But
that's
the
why
ambulance, you don't need. It doesn't have air brakes.
That's why I say the Echo 2 is better than the Echo 1, right? Because you could actually get in the back of it. The Echo 1 crawl space, but what you guys could be in there comfortably investigating, right?
Well, yeah, this is key, and probably use it with the van. Is not that there's nothing wrong with tours and stuff, but I like a controlled environment.
Yeah.
If I'm going to take all this time and dedicate to investigating a location, I want to limit the amount of people in the location.
Oh, you're so right with that.
We are so on that. Yes.
Yeah. So it's why if it's not like that, sometimes I'm like, and I don't mean it to sound mean or anything like that or disrespectful, but I'm like, I'm just not going to waste my time. If it's just.
It's horrible. It's corrupted evidence. It's
right.
You don't know if someone's stomach's growling, someone's phone is on. You have no clue. And
right. So in this way, if a homeowner wants to be part of it, I got somewhere to put them. Because I only want a couple investigators, unless we're doing a group thing. Sometimes we'll end the night, or we'll dedicate an hour or two to do a group EVP session with the homeowners if they have questions to ask. But at least this way, I have somewhere to put some people. It has heat, has air, for a hot summer day.
Right.
And so that's basically why I got it, just so I can control the environment a little bit easier.
I gotta say, it's really cool.
I was telling Race Hobbs about it from the UnX Network. Shout out for Race Hobbs. Happy birthday, Race Hobbs.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I was telling him about it. I was like, he's like the paranormal specialist with all the gadgets, right? I was so impressed when I saw that, which is also.
I just have some new stuff on order coming in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, David's, he's got the toys. And that's why when I first spoke with David and then I spoke with Dawn and Laynee, I thought, they got to pair up. This is the thing, is when you bring two forces together, it becomes something great. I think you guys could form something great. I think your network it would explode. I think you guys are going to discover a lot together, in my opinion.
Definitely. I'd like to investigate with you, Dave.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Well,
and
let's
so
pick a location. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let us know. And we'll try to set it up. Weekends are always better for us.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be great. Hopefully weekends are good for you.
Yeah. My schedule at the department always rotates, and the way it's been lately is,
it's crazy.
I got to watch what I say, but the way the department and the mayor has been on canceling days off, 12-hour days. It's been difficult the last couple of years, but so yeah, my days rotate. Like this week they're Thursday, Friday, then it goes Wednesday, Thursday.
Sure.
And, it's just
just let us know. I can always pop a day off.
Yeah, it's same here. I that's why I made. I used to have this other unit I was in before. I had straight Sunday, Mondays off, which was excellent, because then Saturday nights were always free for investigations. But now, if I don't want to burn all my vacation days, or if I have the choice of when I work overtime to take money or time. Right. So, I got like 1,000 hours in the books that I just never took money, that I took time. But, that still it cost me money using these days that I could turn in when I retire. So I got to make sure it's just worthwhile on taking these cases.
Well, I get
a lot of calls, and I used to take all the cases possible, but now, it's some people are just kind of curious if their house or business is haunted. So I just got to make sure it's worth the while or if it's not an emergency, wait till it falls on my my days off.
Well, you have our email. Is that, and if you don't, I'll give it right now. And this is for anybody else who's listening too. If you need to contact us, it's Spectrewaves. So that's SPECTREWAVES @gmail. So
.com.
That,
I just said it.
yeah, just throw it in there, right?
Well, you never know.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you want to correspond with us, Dave, feel free. We always check that email. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and I know Adam wants us to get on that with the Joliet prison. So,
well, we're going to let Adam do that.
I'm gonna
So
push hard.
we get into the cells.
Look,
Yeah.
I see great things on the horizon here. Believe me when I say that. I'm one of those.
You know where I got lucky enough to get in some of the old abandoned Chicago police stations.
That's cool.
Well, see, that's
your perk of the having
yeah,
law enforcement job.
yeah. Without saying it, I'm saying it, but
Right.
yeah, it's like I said, some locations I've been lucky enough to get into, which no one else probably wouldn't be able to get into, and but the old Gale Street, 16th District, off Milwaukee and Lawrence area, Jefferson Park,
Right.
That definitely has activity. There's grown men. You got the tower right there that has city fiber radio tower. So you got guys that had the keys. Men our age that were scared to go in there alone because of stuff they would hear, footsteps, noises, and stuff. So a few of them were curious, and they're like, "Dave, we need you to document some of this stuff." And I actually caught in the lower area gunshots, and I took the audio and sent it. I brought it over to the gun range guys, that do this for a living, that teach people how to shoot, and had them listen to it, and they were all amazed. Even the neighbor across the street, he's a retired policeman, and he used to who was a range guy. So yeah, his jaw just dropped. But I caught 6 shots and a voice, and I found out later, talking to some old timers and doing some research, that area where I caught these gunshots were a gun range.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was.
that brings that's. I'm glad you. So I'd spoken to someone. It's isolated, I guess, from Gettysburg, that someone reported they could hear gunfire, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that is.
Yeah, I'm assuming I'm thinking I do believe doing this that items could hold energy.
Right. Or make room for the idea that replays itself over and over again in some dimension that we don't understand.
Well, that could be too, yeah. It could be bullet fragments, shell casings, something in the wall, the ground that maybe could be causing the stuff to loop over and over again. But
yeah, it's interesting because the guy I'd spoken to, and I'm trying to get a schedule for him to come on the show. He's a historian, and he's a Civil War guy. And so he does nothing paranormal, period. Right? That's not his realm. His realm is his history. And he was the one that say, I'm not gonna say his name. Anyway, he was the one to say something in or around that, like people and himself had heard gunshots on one occasion, and for a couple days after, I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And then and I'm one of these guys again. I don't approach things with filters on. Perhaps maybe that war is reenacting. I also kind of believe that maybe there's parallel universes, like we're here. I said this on another show, where when we test our nuclear weapons out in the desert, and we're blowing these things up, these are things, the power of the sun that probably maybe could alter physics. How do we know we're not melting communities in some other plane?
Yeah, right.
yeah.
So,
well, so long as you don't have real estate there, Adam,
right.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, So check it out, guys. Before we close here, I'm going to give you a fruit for thought for next time. Skinwalker Ranch, not just it.
Oh, I'd be there in a second. I'd retire tomorrow if I could get out there.
Well, here it is. I want you to do all your research because there's pictures Skinwalker Ranch, but multiple locations, and we'll get to this the next time I have you guys on. That's going to be our subject.
Take us all out there, Adam.
Oh yeah, believe me, I got plans. So.
Oh, but we're going to sign up. We're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm like I said, unusually aggressive guy. So, yeah, for the next time we have a discussion, that's going to be the primary. And Dave, I'm going to invite you with Don and Laynee here on the next show. We're going to have that. We're going to discuss that, the ideas, the theories behind it, and then the plans, and then what I discovered all around the United States and other parts of the world. And when you hear these parallels and these connections, it's going to open your eyes up to the possibilities of what. I'm not going to say too much. We'll talk about it next time.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it definitely will be on. Yeah.
Dawn, Laynee, David, thank you guys. I enjoyed our conversation.
Hey, if you don't mind, I don't know if this would come through or not, but like I said, I find this very touching. I would love you to hear if you could hear that seat assignment and her first initial and last name.
Oh yeah.
I was going to try to put it through the mic here, but
yeah. Give it a try.
Go ahead.
I'll try to play it a couple times. So if you could hear 9G.A. Harrison.
I can barely hear it, but I could hear it.
What I'll do, David, is I'll take the audio from that, and then the next episode I'll feature it. I'll make it more prominent.
Any better?
A little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, David, next episode I'll feature that. I'll make it a little more prominent. You can just send me the audio in like an email, and then we'll get it up there.
That kind of gives me goosebumps a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you, I want to help. I want to help them out so bad. I think that property should be gone and be a busy expressway ramp. Like some of the officers that work there are talking about. Ever since the construction started, more activity started happening.
Of course, it did.
On the grounds.
Sure.
You're disturbing their area.
A clock flew off from the wall just recently. They called me over.
What are they going to?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't mean to interrupt, Dave. I just have, before I get forgetful, is that what are they going to do with that? You know, they have that memorial there where it's the brick wall that has everybody's name on it.
Right. That's not even near the location. That's that's further east. I don't know why they have it so far from
what the location is.
Right. Maybe the city never gave them permission or something.
No, that tells me they intended to put that highway there all along. Right.
I know the city's been very strict. I know TV shows, news media was all, for the past always trying to get in there, and I know the city's always shutting them down and this and that. And I mean, I understand why. I mean, in a way, because it was a tragedy. You got to be very respectful.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's so important to me. I'm trying to put together, if possible, a ceremony to have, a priest, pastor, or chaplain come out and give a ceremony, and then I have Susan Rowland that's gonna come out. She was gonna come out a couple times already, but then the city canceled my days off, and the time she was gonna fly in from Arizona, it just didn't work out because my days off were canceled. And then, but she's going to try to come in the springtime, maybe right after the snow melts, to get out there and to move on any willing spirits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to do our best because
it's definitely affecting you, Dave. I can tell it is.
Yeah, you could hear in his voice. He's very passionate about that. He means well, and that's a rare quality in people. Most investigators go out there because I wonder if I get some likes and some views. He actually means well, and that's a good thing. Yeah,
it's when I first started. I don't know if you were the same way. You want to get the home run piece, but man, doing this, there's so many people out there that are scared of their own home or businesses, and I get a lot of help me's from the other side. So, what are these help me's? I'm thinking. They want to move on and they just don't know how. They lost their way, and I want to try. So it means a lot for both. It maybe sounds corny, but
no, it doesn't.
The help the clients, and then also to help the other side if possible.
Well, yeah, it's very genuine. I mean, sometimes it's just acknowledgement that you need to pass on for, right?
Well, I believe that's true.
It could be as simple as that. I mean, for me, I don't know. For me, it's different. I'm a jerk. I'm going to stick around to be a jerk, but some people just need to go.
That means we're going to pass you on, Adam. Okay. We're going to force the light on your ass.
Yeah, you got to go, sir.
Time to move on.
Yeah, that's when I get to the other side. I see these people like, how come you guys never haunted me? And they're like, because you're an asshole.
But Dave, no, I know what you're saying. Just like when I caught that picture at the Forest Home Cemetery this past couple of months, it's like, I got it. And what do I do with it now? What can I do? It's like, I reach out to the paper. It's like, I want to do something more. I got a person in front of me on film, let alone it was a motion picture too. So you can see it kind of walking towards you and turning. And it's just like you with the recording. What can we do? What's our next step?
It bugs me at some locations that I go to, and I can't get back in there to do a follow-up.
Right.
What bothers me, I forget what year it was, but I've been to the Congress theaters a handful of times, and it bugs me to this day. And I wasn't expecting it, but I had a child that came through. This is the best flashlight thing I ever got. It's amazing. On total command, turn it on, turn it off. And he said he was a 7-year-old boy, through the discussion. And I also got.
Well, now, was that by the room that's boarded off that you got the flashlight to go on and off?
This was an upper room, projectionist room.
He was at the Congress Theater.
Oh, the theater.
Yeah, not the hotel.
I thought the hotel. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, the theater's all connected to other apartment buildings and businesses and stuff. So I don't know if it's a wandering spirit, but I caught its voice asking, saying "mommy," and it bugs me that I can't get back in there
to follow up on it. Right.
Right.
Well, and I'm just going to tell you from
boy out.
Forest Home Cemetery, that was our last investigation before we wrapped for the year. And it was the first time we were there. Afterlife Tours. I don't know if you know Mike and John from Afterlife Tours, but
sounds familiar.
They were handling Bluff Cemetery.
Oh, the Jim. Yeah.
They were handling Oakwood and Joliet, Spring Lake and Aurora. They don't have those anymore. So they got the new home, Forest Home, which is right off of 90 or 94. Display, it's on Desplaines Avenue, and we went there the second time that they opened it up for nighttime stuff, and we know John and Mike for years. So we went there, and they have a chapel, and they have the keys to the chapel to be able to get into the chapel. Right, it's a non-denominational cemetery, and I can tell you, I don't know about you, but most cemeteries that we've been in, and I've said this before, pardon the pun, but are dead. Right? There's not a lot of activity going on. Okay, so we went there just to see. Right, is that we brought our equipment and stuff, and from the time that we started being there, nobody had really investigated this cemetery before. The spirit box was just hammered with communication, just constantly, right? And this is the first time that we were there. We went to the chapel, and we were doing a spirit box at the altar of the chapel. And go ahead, Lanes. What did we pick up?
It was a little boy, like you said. You got a little boy. Said, "Mom," and I said, "Is your mom here?" And it said, "No." And
then it said, "Hi, Mom."
Yeah. Then it said, "Hi, Mom."
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's seeing you as its mom.
That's what I was thinking.
Probably a resemblance, yeah.
Right.
You know,
did it say yes? It said yes.
It said yes.
It did say yes. I'm sorry, I said no, but the boy did say yes.
So, but and that really touched Laynee. I mean, I can tell you well,
there's always seems to be like a little boy that kind of like follows us a lot. So I don't know why that is.
Well, you got to understand. What if you could resemble his mother? And, it's just like anything else. It imprints. And so when you're in an area where it could reach you or access you or even notice you, undoubtedly it's gonna reach out. And for David in that theater, right?
Yeah.
You don't know that kid's not it's a nostalgic spirit, and it's reliving a happy David's life. It's at the theater. It's mom's ahead of him. He wants some kid. Mom, I want candy. You know what I mean? You can't assume that every spirit's there and they're just lost. Maybe they prefer to be there. Like for me, an example, I'm going to be at Hooters a lot. And it's going to suck.
The ghost of Hooters.
Yeah,
Adam, I think you've cornered the market, dude.
I'll tell you.
It's the ghost of Hooters.
There's a lot of energy that plays at one of those places.
Yeah, I can see him leaving a lot of wealth on people.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And the one thing, not to interrupt you, Adam, but I just had a thought is that, and Laynee just spoke to this too, Dave, is that in a lot of our investigations, we always get a little boy, not a little girl, but we always get a little boy. So we don't know if I don't think it's an attachment to us, but it started in Ohio.
With the little boy in the opera house saying, what was it? Yeah, it was the opera
Loveland.
House.
It started in Loveland.
Castle in Ohio. Yes. We were not supposed to go in the Princess. Well, we got special permission to go in the Princess Tower in the castle, but there's a sign that says you're not allowed to go up there. But we're going up there because we got special permission, and we didn't hear it with our own ears. After reviewing our evidence, there's a little boy that says, "You're going to get in some trouble."
Wow.
Yeah, at the exact moment we're going
and
up
so
Tower.
you looked at some of the Fowler Theater evidence that we had is that, and the one thing that Dwight handles the Fowler, and we caught our static cam that was up in the projectionist booth. It was actually on a landing in front of the projectionist booth. We let it run. You hear us on the raw video. We walk out. We were walking outside. I was actually walking out to go have a smoke. And we walked outside. So you hear us leave the theater, and then you hear, "Mom."
Huh.
So he had closed circuit camera running in the theater, which he always does. Mm-hmm. So after we posted the evidence, and I contacted Dwight again, and I said, "Look, this came up with Mom." And he had talked about a previous investigation where people caught on an iPhone a little boy. And I don't think it said Mom. I don't remember what it said, but and what ended up happening was
didn't his audio, the way it came through, was like, "Mom." Like,
it
really
came through demonic.
Yeah.
Through his closed circuit camera. He went and reviewed the footage, and at the same time frame that we caught Mom, his camera caught it too. And but it came through as "Mom."
Damn. See, it always makes you wonder. The kids are very touching. I mean, I have an 11-year-old daughter, so anything to do with kids is
it's a
important
sensitive
to me.
spot.
But I'm in the back of my mind, I'm always wondering that I'm not being tricked. That it's it could be something more sinister, and it's not a child just to hook me in.
Yeah, right. Well, if you have a chance, Dave, and I know you sound like a busy guy, but if you have a chance, check out that particular video at Fowler because I do a comparison video of his closed circuit camera and what he captured and what our camera captured. So, and it's just audio. There's no visual involved in it really, even though it's the video feed from his CCTV and our video feed from our static cam. But yeah, is that so? It's just ironic that you talk about it, and and it seems to be every once in a while, depending on where we go, we always get this little boy's voice. So
I'll tell you what I think. Picture a real life kid lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then picture that kid seeing some woman with black hair, makeup on, creepy looking. He's not gonna reach out to her. And then picture Laynee walking up.
I talk to her.
Yeah, so the kid probably feels more comfortable reaching out to Laynee, right?
No, and I think you're right about that. More approachable.
Yeah, because this is ultimate kid in this world or kid in the next world. It's lost, and it sees Laynee is someone it could approach, like someone that's comforting. I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, you wouldn't want to go up to the guy who's dressed like a big wrestler. He's got creepy
like a big goth guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
That's just not the guy you walk up to when you're lost. But Laynee's very inviting, so I think that would make sense for again children this realm or the next. I mean,
thank you.
That's what I'm hearing. So no.
You know what I try to do sometimes, and sometimes it works. I mean, sometimes it doesn't. But I'll definitely if there's a child involved, I'll try to go down to their level. Sometimes. You bring the prop toys to have them touch or whatever, but I also, and at times I seem to have good luck with it. With a lot of investigations, sometimes I'll bring some props from work. Like I'll bring my star, or police star, my handcuffs or something for them to touch. And, a lot of times I'll go down on their level and, have my star and, here, I'm going to make you deputy, and I'll put the star there, to touch it, and with some meters, and sometimes I'll have some good reactions with that.
Yeah, or you could try the other approach too, where like, listen, I'm going to go investigate. I know you're here, and when you're ready, talk to me. I'm going to go investigate something in the other room, but when you're ready, you let me know, and just see what the response is to that.
Yeah,
because again, it's a child's energy. Again, in this plane or the next, it's still going to behave like a child. So
Right.
if you're giving it that space, perhaps maybe it'll reach out when it's ready.
and
Right.
you going back to that Crown Point jail. If you got to go, I don't want to keep you going.
No. Look, I don't have a producer. I don't have a producer over my shoulder.
Talking about police gear, and when it comes to investigations, usually I don't provoke, especially if it's someone's home or business. Last thing I want is to make things worse.
Right.
But sometimes when it comes to like a jail or a mobster place, knowing they hate the police or whatever, sometimes I'll bring the gear, and it seems like a lot of times I'll get reactions. Like I'll bring police uniform shirts, and I brought the Billy Club and handcuffs and police star, just gear I would use, and especially being a jail, stuff they're familiar with.
Right.
And so we acted, I said, Chicago police had to come here because you guys are acting, too rowdy now. Now I'm taking over. I'm the warden, and we're hitting, just making this sound, ding, 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 hitting the cells with the nightstick and
just
the
try
handcuff
to incite a
sounds
reaction.
I tell you, it works. And it's not to be, excuse the expression, it's not to be an asshole or anything. But sometimes if you create that environment that they're used to, it seems to help out.
Yeah, you're going to get a reaction, because whether it be a positive or negative, as you are here is as you are there. Until
you want to hear something funny, and I got this recorded. I have a fireman on the team, and so I just give him some police gear. I think he's wearing my police hat and some other stuff. And he went in. I thought he said something. I thought he said something else. He went in saying, "I'm tossing the cell," but I thought he was putting like a prison term. Excuse the expression. Tossing the salad or whatever. You hear that on some of these police prison movies and stuff. That's what I thought he said. I'm like, hey, we're going to have none of that here. I said, in fact, I said something like no self-gratification, no tossing salad, no this and that, especially when I'm around. And I get a voice saying, is it wrong?
Oh,
wow. Goodness.
It's
At the Warsaw jail, we had something happen in a cell room. Used to be an old jail. And the guy had his hand, we had the Connect figure up here, and it was on the top bunk, but its hands up, it looked like, and backing into Don's hand, kind of turned around, if I'm saying it correctly. So we had some wild stuff.
So that Connect figure kept backing up like we were going to do the booty throwdown on me, right? Because I always pick on me. So
what do you think? I have like 3 different Connects. I have the one from
digital dowsing.
Digital dowsing. Yeah, I'm so tired. I can't even think of the guy's name right now.
What's his name?
Bill Chappell.
Bill Chappell. Yeah.
Yay, Laynee.
Sorry. And then I had the other ones, and I tell you, there's been a handful of times where I got some outstanding evidence, but I'm very skeptical when it comes to that. Sometimes I need, something else happening at the same time. A meter going off, maybe a EVP. But I think there's a lot of false positives.
And you're right about that, because we had a lamp that it'll pick up a lamp, or if you're by a mirror, it picks up the mirror. There are some things.
A lot of corners, closets. You got hangers, clothes hanging. So I think you gotta. It's just my opinion. I could be totally off, but I think there's times they've used it on TV where it's. I'm 100% sure it wasn't legit.
Right, it's like a broomstick they have there, and it's mapping the broomstick.
Right.
So, but I will say this, is that Laynee is an aficionado of that 360. is that of that Connect,
Uh-huh.
and she uses it all the time religiously.
So she knows what to look for. And
yes.
Yes. And I always
That's
love
key.
it when something else goes off, whether it be the REM pod, the vortex.
When you have things in concert, right. That's got to be really exciting.
And she's had, you know, and again, I don't mean to keep going back to Forest Home Cemetery, but the second time we went, the spirit box wasn't very active at all when we went, but we went back to the mausoleum, which is a huge mausoleum. And it's where she captured the shadow figure.
Well, it's a picture of a man probably from like what, the 30s?
Yeah, it looks like a worker.
Yeah.
So, so she had forgotten her phone back in the van, and it's like a 5-minute walk to the front of the cemetery.
Okay.
So, because Laynee's super brave, she's like, "Well, go. I have the equipment." I said, "Oh, I'll go get your phone." And she said, "Okay." So she starts the investigation without me, and so. And rightfully so. I mean, we only have a limited amount of time. So she starts the investigation without me. And what does she get? She's got the Connect going. She's got all the devices out by the stone lion. Go ahead.
And I have the Connect figure. Actually, I'm interacting with it. And I'm asking it to do different things. Like, can you wave to me? It's waving. All of a sudden, Don's coming around and it just vanishes. So I'm telling Don what happened. And he's like, okay, let's go somewhere else. I'm like, okay, fine. So we start walking. All of a sudden, I get hit on the head right in front of the mausoleum. And it was like a human hit me on the head. It wasn't a bug or a branch.
I mean, the branches were like 20 feet in the air. There's no way a branch could hit her in the head.
And it was dark. I don't think there was a lot of birds flying in that low. I'm pretty sure.
So that's cool where you could connect personal experiences to that or other evidence. Like
that's the one thing is that if you watch the video, I hate to keep re-promoting our video, but if you watch the video, you'll see Laynee doing the Connect figure, and you see the Connect figure. First, the REM pod goes off, then the figure appears. So
that's cool.
So it's a whole corroboration of equipment, and Laynee is super, super good at that. Is that more so than me? I get bored fast. But Laynee stays laser focused on this stuff. And so she makes sure that like we get to a site, she's putting stuff out like there's nobody's business. And you can't drive through the cemetery, so it's not like we could take the van. So we've got stuff in a backpack, and Laynee's putting it all out, turning it all on, getting it all working. And, and she's always successful at it. I have to say is that, but if you get a chance, Dave, see if you can't, they're supposed to do Forest Home again next year, like starting in the summer or something. So if you get a chance, contact Mike and John. We can take it offline. I can, tell you what website it is, but, and try to get to Forest Home, man, because it was the most active cemetery we've ever been in.
Wow. Talking about cemeteries, if you get a chance, it's in Waukegan, Oakwood Cemetery. I got some really cool stuff, really cool EVPs. I didn't have the ambulance then. I had the trailer set up as the command center that I was pulling it with my truck, and several EVPs. And one of the very first EVP we got, it came into the trailer. We were actually outside the trailer, but I usually have cameras going inside the trailer and voice recorders, and I get an unexplained voice going, "It's magic in here." It's probably never seen the technology before.
Right. That's really cool.
And also we got a couple other voices coming in, and we think there was a mayor buried there. So we think this could be the mayor, or it's definitely an authority figure, but it goes, "Where's your permit?" in a deep voice.
See, that's what I'm excited for. That's what I definitely like when I get out and do the doc. That's what I definitely got to come across. And
what's that? Where's your permit?
Just anything, because I'm one of these. I'm on the wrong side of brave, right? Where I don't want to say challenging, but like the Travis Walton case where he sees a UFO, he runs up there, gets injured. I'm worse. I'm going to run up this stuff. We're going to do a doc, and if I come across something mysterious, there's a very strong chance I'm not coming back, but I'll document it. And that's what I get excited to hear about, is when you're getting those responses, and it's gonna set a new fire. I'm one of those, I dig deep in everything.
And then trying to get it out all over social media to educate the public on the findings.
Yep.
Plus, if you
give people some validation, right?
Yeah, once you find really, really significant evidence, you know the government's involved because, like, how do we use this how do we use this? We need to use this. There's no doubt in my mind, right?
Hey, going back to that cemetery, this is the only time it ever happened to me since I investigated, but we had this very active area where I had thermal imaging, DVR night vision, DVR camera, thermal imaging facing the same gravestone there. And the first time ever, I've never came across this, maybe you have, but it only lasted 20 minutes maybe, but there was light anomalies. Thermal would pick it up. The DVR night vision camera would pick it up as a light anomaly, but it would leave the gravestone, disappear, and then maybe 10 minutes come back. You see it arriving back, enter the tombstone, and you would actually see disruption of the color with the thermal of it moving in the tombstone, like it's going back.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And then it leaves again and comes back. Maybe every few minutes, and it's it definitely wasn't bugs or anything like that. But it was so cool the way the thermal imaging camera picked it up. You would actually see the disruption of color in the tombstone, and then we also were lucky enough to pick up mist right around the same tombstone when we're breaking down for the evening, right in front of the camera before I unplugged it. A couple times the mist would form and then shoot right past the camera, almost stop right in front of it and then shoot away.
Wow, that's cool.
You might have found something.
We haven't had that, but on the Connect, we did get this, and we've got this in 2 separate cemeteries. A figure coming out of the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, and then jumping back in the ground.
The Connect, and there's nothing, and Dave, you're in a cemetery, and there was no headstones in that area.
Mm-hmm.
It was just an empty sea of grass.
Wasn't it the charity section?
You know where I got something like that from? Is the Lincoln Park Zoo is very haunted. And I got lucky enough to investigate some of the...
Yeah, I have that written down. I just wrote that down today. Someone else called in about it.
Yeah, it's very haunted. I was lucky enough. Yeah,
Lincoln Park Zoo, full body apparition, and some sort of abnormality in lighting, all in the background. This is someone who is, I don't remember they saying if they were jogging or walking. They were just there at night, and there's 10 to 13,000 bodies still all over the grounds there.
Oh wow, I haven't heard anything about.
Where were those bodies from? The fire or no?
No, the fire is what disrupted the cemeteries. I mean, there was like 3 or 4. I had to do research on this because I was asked for the first year they started it to do a tour there for Halloween, and I knew nothing about it. Mm-hmm. And I want to say there was 4 cemeteries, like a Potter's Field, a city cemetery, a Catholic, and I want to say maybe a Jewish. I'm not sure.
Okay,
but all around the grounds of the zoo and Lincoln Park area,
mm-hmm.
and then back then the disease was happening, and so people thought, okay, you have all these bodies rotting near the water source. Right. So they, at that time, I think another cemetery or 2 opened up within the city limits. Mm-hmm. So they started contacting the family, and they slowly started moving the bodies from that cemetery or the grounds there to other cemeteries that were opening up. Mm-hmm. But then the Chicago fire happened and burned up all the markers and stuff like that. So you had all this destruction. People left the area that used to live there, to make life somewhere else. And then you had all these new people coming in, and it was just forgotten about. No one knew. And so like one of the very haunted locations is that barn. When they were building the foundation of the barn, they uncovered several coffins and stuff. And the director of the zoo contacted the city and never got an answer. So they just reburied them and built over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, put the foundation over everything. And the barn, the zoo area is very haunted. The ladies' bathroom in the Lions house is very active, very haunted. The Cafe Brower is very haunted. And that's when you were talking about the Connect coming from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
We got the first time this ever happened to me, one appeared and went down like a snake slithering along the ground.
Huh.
and then disappeared, and then it re-entered maybe minutes later, the frame as a snake slithering around the ground, and came back as a figure and left. I never saw that before.
So that location today, it's active, yeah or no? Like when I say active, like what is that location today?
It's a zoo.
So it's still a zoo. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in Florida. You're
He doesn't know.
Well, the reason is
He thinks Lincoln Park, and he's thinking about a band.
well, that's that's exactly when I got that phone call from the off air podcast. That's the first thing he was like, just like talking about the guy because the singer committed suicide, and so
Yeah, the guy from Lincoln Park did. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
so I thought maybe she was talking about that, and then when she started going in details, like holy shit, and so I didn't think two things about it. And I was like, so now it puts it together what she was saying, that she's like the living. She said her words. Goes, everything living there seems to be disturbed by it. And so I wrote this down quick because she didn't want to go any further than that. It was all in all, it was like 5-minute phone call. So I wrote the name down. This is some days ago. And then David brings it up. I'm like, look at that.
Yeah. Wow. You know what's kind of cool too is I had no idea about this, but back when the World's Fair, they had a 4-story bridge that went over the lagoon, and it was one way from back then to get from that area over to the horse and buggy carriage. Maybe that was closer to the Lakeshore Drive area or closer to the lake.
Uh-huh.
But for some reason, that bridge was a site for people to commit suicide. If you research it, you can find postcards, suicide bridge.
Really?
Yeah, hundreds.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Of documented deaths of the suicide bridge. And so now you got the cemeteries, you got the bodies on the ground, you got the suicide bridge, you got drownings in the lagoon, in that lagoon, and then there's a small some drownings in the other lagoons within the zoo. You have all the gangster activity around that area. You had the Irish mob.
Oh yeah.
Right. You had the St. Valentine's Massacre very close, maybe a couple blocks or so from there, not far.
How well fed are those lions?
I'm sorry.
How well fed
are those lions?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there's a lot going on in that area. No wonder it's haunted.
Are they allowing people to go into that zoo at night?
Oh, we got the okay.
Of course, Dave did.
I mean, I'm kind of mad now.
It was all due. The director wanted to do something for Halloween, so I got to bring some recording devices and learn some of the history. I'm not a huge history buff, but I had to learn enough to talk to people. So.
Now I hope that lady listens to the podcast and calls me back, because I'm gonna, full disclosure, I didn't listen to everything, and so I'm a little upset with myself now because
Shame.
Was she in that zoo day or night? Obviously, day was the activity that she discussed. Was it in the bathroom? My apologies. Damn it.
Well, I got an EVP in the ape house, and it sounded like a little kid saying, "I want to go to the Lincoln Park." I think it says Lincoln Park Zoo, but it was like a full sentence.
Damn.
And you said to him, "You're here."
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have to buy tickets. You're here.
Yeah, I probably really should have tuned into what she was saying a little bit deeper, right?
Shame. I'm going to get the bell out, Adam.
Yeah, that's shame on me for certain. My goodness. So, guys, we are at 2 hours plus. It was a pleasure talking
to you guys. I'm glad. I just got home when I got your email. I was pulling in the driveway.
I know. David's like, "Hey, I'm pulling the driveway." Like, "Yeah, I'm going to send you an invite 10 minutes, all right?"
I'm glad you came on.
Well, I'm glad you came on, Dave. It was nice meeting you, man.
Same here.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Yeah, everybody have a nice Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Remember, do your homework on and build some theories around the Skinwalker thing. So the next time we talk, I got some good stuff for you guys.
Oh man!
All right.
Yeah, I'd love that. I love that area.
Indeed. All right, guys, you have a good night. I had a great time.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thanks.
Take care.
Right.